Hi, James. How are you doing?
Hey Jennifer, how are you today?
Great. You are looking quite high tech already, which is very fitting for the conversation we're having. So, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Well, I got these funny glasses at the top of my head right here, and actually it's just responded to my voice command. So if I keep looking up during this conversation, don't mind me. I'm just, trying to get ready, and it's actually now making a note in Evernote. So I'm going to pause. There we go. Okay, now I've just made a note in Evernote. Anyway, I'm back to you live right now. So I'm wearing Google Glass. I just got the opportunity to purchase a pair about a week ago, and really I'm starting to explore what this can do with all of its issues, with all of its potential successes. Clearly, augmented reality has a huge, huge future impact on what we do in this industry.
Well, Jim, you've already jumped on a couple things that might be freaking people out. You've stopped a conversation to do something else, all the things that we think technology is going to ruin. You've mentioned augmented reality. So
Yeah.
let's take a couple steps back. What do you think people are nervous about with Google Glass, and can you calm any fears?
I think they're nervous about exactly what you just mentioned and what I just did, which is the interruption mechanism of communication. The fact of the matter is that even with smartphones right now, people are sort of phasing in and out of conversations. Sometimes they're in the live conversation. Sometimes they look at their phone, checking an email, texting back. I think what people are going to believe and think is true is that it's just going to enhance that lack of face-to-face. And there's some credibility in that. There's some issues to that. But I also believe it's just a transition that we have now in this generation as to how we're going to be communicating and the different modes and the different ways that we have available to us. I do think because it's new, because there's a fear factor, because it's going to be haves and have-nots for a while, unfortunately, due to availability and price, that people aren't going to see the value of it right away. And I've had a lot of conversations with people about this. It really, really seems to me that this is going to be the sort of door opener for augmented reality in a general way. This might not be the most successful tool. It might be a second or third iteration where people get it finally. Clearly at the potential price point at which they're selling them, which is $1,500, it's not for everybody. Yet the values there, the opportunities there, and even if it's not the glasses, just the whole concept of augmented reality is going to be so critical about how we use these tech devices to get additional information, to really see beyond the virtual wall.
Okay, well, can you go ahead and explain to some of us what augmented reality really is and that it's not quite as scary as it sounds?
Indeed, and matter of fact, most people have engaged some way, shape, or form with augmented reality. In a nutshell, it's the ability to see what's not there, sort of virtual information as opposed to real information. Best example of it is if you're watching TV. Maybe you're watching your favorite show and a commercial comes on. And at the bottom corner of the screen, you see a little logo pop up, oftentimes in the left corner. A company called Shazam, which a lot of people who use smart devices are very familiar with, which allows you to put your phone next to a song that's playing, and it'll identify the song, the artist, where to buy it. It's augmented reality, and what Shazam is doing with TV right now is popping up their logo on some commercials. And what that means is that the user can take their smartphone, they can just hover it right over the screen, and additional information is going to pop up. It might be a video, it might be interactivity, but it's something that they wouldn't see otherwise without that device allowing that jump to the next screen. In fact, we're really becoming a society of second screeners, where we have more than one device, and we're using one to augment what we're seeing in others. Pretty cool, pretty scary, depends on your point of view, but clearly, in a lot of ways, the way of the future. I mean, think about this. You're driving down the road in your car, and instead of looking at your dashboard at the speedometer and the odometer, everything projects right on your dashboard at the very bottom, so you can see it and at the same time see through it. Well, that's augmented reality too. So it's not just this pair of glasses that I'm wearing right here that will take me in and out of conversations. I do hope I don't do that very often in the near future.
That makes sense. Well, I think any of us that have looked up what Google Glass can do, we see how it could help a person, an individual, with directions, note taking, talking to themselves while walking down the street, that sort of thing. How do you see it really affecting meetings?
Well, there's so many ways it could affect meetings. I would say down the road, the maybe 2 to 3 year approach is the apps that are being developed for conferences now will be developed for Glass as well. In fact, there is an infrastructure that's already being created of Glass apps. So imagine you walk into Rejuvenate or Connect, and you're going to the conversations you're having between the exhibitors and the meeting planners. And maybe what will pop up in the Glass is that person's schedule and what table they need to go to be able to hit their next appointment. Or perhaps what's going to happen during the breaks in between sessions, a schedule and a map appears to show the individual where the next session that they want to go to is, perhaps what's already identified in their calendar. Remember, because it's Google, it's an integration with so many different services. You know, my Glass right now that I'm wearing, I can have email checked, I can connect with people, it'll give me information about my calendar, tell me when an appointment is coming up. So there's a lot of seamless integration that ultimately will occur. And in the hospitality industry, at events, I think that's going to be part of the Glass experience. You mentioned directions, clearly a huge component, and tourism in general. In fact, I found on the web a really cool video on YouTube on tourism and Glass. And it was done in South Africa, in Cape Town. And essentially, it was somebody's experience using Google Glass to do a tour of the city. And it gave directions, it spoke to them with highlights of where they were, very aware of location, and at the same time, it literally played an audio tour that was a Glass app that integrated right in there. So, I mean, I always say the same thing at the sessions, but this conversation at this point forward isn't any more about the technology. It's about how creative people are to see an opportunity and be able to utilize it in that respect for their event, for their hotel, for whatever business they're in.
That's so true, and a lot of these ideas that you've mentioned are new since I interviewed you about the Glass before you got it, just a week ago. What else have you learned in the last week since you had them in your possession?
Well, I've learned that it's a great icebreaker, because anybody who sees you wearing it wants to try it on, and I've given a lot of people the opportunity to try it. It's also, nothing in technology is intuitive, no matter what any tech company says. It's all learned, and so I'm learning how to access it, what to say. It is funny, when I gave some people the glasses, some of them got it right away, saw the command up there, spoke it, and some people didn't. So, people have to get comfortable with the interface that's there. There is this capability on the side to be able to tap. Matter of fact, I'm right now, believe it or not, I'm going to adjust the glasses just so I can see a little better. I can see the temperature, I can see the time, I just see the Evernote note I'm taking, that I missed a phone call while you and I have been speaking. Some really odd video right there. I'm not even going to go to that at that point. So the opportunity to integrate, to connect, to get notes taken, all is there. I think the experience that I'm having right now is it's not perfect. Is that there are issues that just don't make me want to wear it all the time. The battery life, a little bit weak. And it took me about a few days to figure out that I could adjust the setting right here so that I could see it fairly well. There's also the issue of me being both nearsighted and farsighted, and I had to take my glasses off to have these glasses on, but it doesn't affect what I'm able to see in the viewfinder, and that I'm surprised about. I figured that would be an issue, but it's sort of sitting right there. It's right in front of me, like a projected on a screen, close enough so I can see it, but far enough away so it's not right on top of my eye. A fairly comfortable level once you get used to it.
Cool. One of my favorite things that you told me about when we talked last week was that it's not necessarily this product that's going to change the world, that it's what's coming next, and it's this feedback of things you're saying now. So my favorite question to always ask you in our interviews is, what's next? What do you see coming down the road?
Well, I see now at this point becoming evolutionary rather than revolutionary. This is the revolutionary device. This is like the iPad and the iPhone was. It's the first of its kind. What's going to happen now are the fixes. are the smaller incremental problems that people talk about, how it can be created. It's going to be other companies coming into the fray, which already are in the works right now, to create wearable, glass-based, augmented reality tools. So I think what's going to happen is we start listening to the customers, and you see what people like about it, where it works. You know, we're going to have to wait for is the killer app. Is that app that's going to make it from cool to I need it. In fact, one of my favorite apps that I talk about all the time in the app session, WordLens, already works within Google Glass. So I can say WordLens, and I'm not doing it right now, so I won't go away from this conversation, and point at the words and ultimately be able to have translation right there. I mean, imagine that, traveling internationally and having it all from the glasses that you're wearing. So evolutionary change, other companies trying new things out, feedback from customers, giving the opportunity and the awareness from their perspective of what they think would really be a great product. And it's also going to be the comfort level that's going to take a while. There is a huge backlash right now. I mean, there's websites out there, you know, about how negative glass is and that it should be banned from being used when you're driving. And I agree. This is common sense here. You know, anything that's going to distract you shouldn't be part of that experience. But, you know, tech isn't bad and isn't good. It just is, and we have to make sure people use it the right way. But at the same time, the opportunities there are really, really incredibly interesting and cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting, but it's pretty clear that it doesn't sound like all of our attendees will have one of these at the next Connect, Rejuvenate, or Collaborate Marketplace. But do you have any news that you could share of possibilities for us there?
You know, if you come to any of those events next year, I will be there. I will have the glasses, and I'll let you wear them too, and give you a shot. Matter of fact, what I want to do right now, Jen, as we're talking, is give me a second to go, OK, glass, record a video. And now, while we're talking, wave, because you're being recorded right now. There we go.
My first time.
This is your first Google Glass movie, and what I'm going to do with this is, we're talking, it gives me 10 seconds of video time. OK, Glass. Share with Google Plus my circles. Your circles. There we go. And it's being shared right now. And what I'll do is, once we finish this up, I'll take this and make it a public video, and people can see it from my perspective, what I actually saw in terms of shooting you as part of this video. So that's how it works. There was no hands, there was no anything. It was voice. Now, I do have the ability for some hand controls, and guess what? I probably know about 10% of what this can do at this point, so I'm still learning.
Okay, great. Well, we can't wait for your follow-up conversations, and then I'm sure by the time marketplaces roll around, we'll have even more things to test out and play with.
Maybe, just maybe, we'll have a whole conversation about the apps that have been built and designed between now and then that can really enhance that experience for the attendee.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Jim. I hope you have a great afternoon and holiday season.
Same to you, Jennifer. Always a pleasure.